Ho, ho, ho. This is Greg Allison of Galactic Gregs coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere in the Milky Way galaxy. This is Christmas Eve, and I come to you on this night in celebration of the Apollo 8 flight around the moon on Christmas Eve of 1968. That occurred 51 years ago today, and we are in the closing hour of Christmas Eve right now as I record this. I also want to thank all my subscribers, especially for the recent surge in subscribers that I've gotten, and I especially want to thank Diamond from the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Rex Bear from the Leak Project, because each of you have sent a lot of subscribers to me the past day or two, past couple of days, and my subscribers have gone from a little over 1,000, in fact, about on this channel, 1,092 to practically 1,600, 500 subscribers. So my channel has grown about 50% in 2 days. For that, I thank you. And I thank all of you who have subscribed to my channel, and I hope you really enjoy these videos. Those who have not subscribed, please subscribe and click the update notification bell, because I've got a lot of great videos coming on space development, space exploration, and related topics, including perhaps some other science topics. Please see the videos below. I don't have everything in the playlist, so if you don't see all my videos, click on the video tab above. And I also have some links below from my sister channel, Green Gregs. You can click that will support my overall effort. All that said, let's get into this and talk about Apollo 8, because what is really cool is that Apollo 8 actually sent men on the first mission away from Earth on they launched on the 21st of, let me blow all this up, 21st of December in 1968. There we go. Now I got it like I want it. And this is the mission patch for the Apollo 8 mission. Apollo 8, they actually flew in a figure 8 pattern around the moon. So that was a very fitting patch. And the overall shape of it does kind of look like an Apollo capsule, yeah? So what we see here is the crewmen of that mission. And of course, they're standing out beside a lunar excursion module, which they actually did not have on Apollo 8. But it's kind of interesting how the crew were picked and what their jobs were. Frank Borman, he was the commander of this mission. Frank F. Borman II. And Mr. Anders, who is William Anders, in fact, he was, believe it or not, the lunar excursion module pilot, even though there was no lunar excursion module on this mission. He still had, I guess, duties that would resemble what you would have in the subsequent missions that had a lunar module. And of course, Jim Lovell, who was the man from the Lost Moon, you might say, who was the pilot of the command module in this case. The backup crew for Apollo 8 was Neil Armstrong as the commander. It had Buzz Aldrin as the CSM pilot, which if it flown a lunar landing mission meant he wouldn't have landed on the moon, and Fred Hayes as the LEM pilot, the lunar excursion module, which was later renamed lunar module, but I still prefer to call it the lunar excursion module by its original name. Here is the Saturn V with the Apollo 8 on the way to the launch pad. Now it's interesting that this Saturn V was the first crewed Saturn V to ever be flown. The previous Saturn V launch, this was the third Saturn V mission. Like I said, the first crewed one. Apollo 6 was the previous mission, and Apollo 6 mission, the Saturn V had significant problems. There was Pogo in the S1C first stage, and there was 2 engines that fell to light in the S2 second stage, and the S4 and the S4B stage, the third stage, had an engine that failed to reignite on orbit. This is every stage had major propulsion problems. So Marshall engineers went in and looked at this real carefully. First stage had a Pogo problem. Pogo is an oscillation in the fuel system that causes the entire vehicle to oscillate violently. And this oscillation can have a lot of damaging effects on the vehicle itself, including the crew. Significant enough oscillations could actually kill crew. and damage hardware and cause destruction of the rocket, as apparently happened to the Soviet in one rockets which they used to try to get the moon, which all blew up right after launch. So Pogo is in this case, it was a problem where they found that the engine vibrated at a fundamental frequency that was the same as the vehicle. And what happened is, as you get fuel surging up and down the fuel lines, and it overpressure spikes down, the engine tries to compensate for it. It tries to cut back, and you wind up with no fuel, and then too much fuel, and so you get a real hard hammering effect. What they found they needed to do to damp the vibrations was they come up with a helium system that they put on that to take care of that. On the S2 second stage, they had a fuel line that ruptured in the vacuum of space as it ascended, and it caused an engine to go out. And when the controller tried to shut that engine down, that was engine number 2, it shut down engine number 3 because they were cross-wired. You would think with all the checks and services and checkouts, they would have caught that, eh? Happens. And this is what happens to your contractors. And I've heard other horror stories of military systems and other things where they've had the same problem in more recent times even. So we haven't learned some things, believe it or not. So the funny thing is that this is when you have checklists. This is why military and space systems have to be so complex and really checked and verified, is because it's very easy sometimes to make a mistake like that. You try to design stuff to preclude it, length of cables, the clocking on the connectors. There's a lot of things that can help in that area. But some things, it just requires checkout and exercise. So they had a similar problem on the on the S4B stage, the third stage. S4B. Why is the third stage S4? Because it was really going to be the fourth stage of the bigger Nozzle rocket. That's why. So that said, go back to this. What they found in that case was they had some problems with the matter system. So they went through and redesigned all this stuff, and rather than have another unmanned flight, they went for broke. They put a crew on the very next Saturn V, the very first Saturn V crew, and they sent them all the way to the moon. That was a very, very, very bold and risky step. Fortunately, they did not have the problems on Apollo 8 that later surfaced on Apollo 13, which caused the quarter panel of the service module to be blown out. And had Apollo 13 not had a lunar excursion module for the crew to live in as a safety, they would not have made it home. So if this accident had taken place on Apollo 8, the crew would not have made it home. Fortunately, it didn't happen until Apollo 13. So here on the 21st of December is Apollo 8 blasting off. And here's the S4C stage after separation. Isn't that a pretty picture? I just love these space shots of stages. And here they are on, look at the planet Earth. This was considered the first ever whole Earth photograph taken. And was used later on the whole Earth catalog. It was used on the Earth flag that the environmentalist movement used. You may have seen versions of this Earth flag, which became popular at Earth Day, which has been an annual environmental holiday in April. That's been celebrated ever since. So there is your whole Earth. Here's Frank Borman, commander. And there's some other crewmen down here. I can't tell who that is. Of course, it's whoever took this picture. I don't know which one took the picture. That's Frank Borman. There's somebody's hand here. I don't know, maybe he's kind of hard to see what he's doing there. Here they are on the way to the destination. And here they are going around the far side of the moon, not the dark side. The moon does not have a dark side. It's got a far side. It's one side of the moon always faces the Earth. The other side does not. Until we sent spacecraft around the moon, we had no idea what this far side looked like. And in fact, it does look significantly different. And that is attributed to the fact that it has higher regions. The near side is more basaltic, heavier. It's had impacts and lava flowed and made that side more dense. And so it's gravity locked on that side toward Earth. And that's why we see the near side and not the far side. A lunar day is the same as its orbit around the Earth. 28 full days on Earth is one lunar day. So you get 14 days of day and 14 days of night on the moon. And Earth days, that is. So the daylight portion of the moon gets extremely hot, about 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and at night it's about 250 degrees below, somewhere thereabouts. The moon is a harsh place. So devising systems that can live and operate there and human bases there is somewhat less than trivial, I might add. And this is the famous Earthrise photograph taken from the moon. So they went into lunar orbit on the 23rd, on the 24th. The insertion orbit to the moon was on the 24th of December, 1968. And they departed from lunar orbit on the 25th of December, 1968, Christmas Day. So by the time you're watching this, I'm assuming it will be Christmas Day. So the magical thing is when they went around the moon, they actually read the first 10 verses of the book of Genesis. So it just seemed that interesting that our first mission around humans around another planetary body, someplace other than Earth, on the first voyage beyond the low Earth orbit around Earth, which is just, a couple hundred miles above the surface of the Earth, a planet that's 8,000 miles in diameter, which is, like flying over the skin of an apple, basically. It's, low Earth orbit is extremely close to Earth. And it's within our magnetosphere, so you're still really within Earth's system in a low Earth orbit. But these guys went outside of that for the first time ever on a rocket that was the first flight after they had hopefully fixed a whole lot of problems. These were brave, bold men that took this on, and they had a grand adventure. And I was a kid when this happened, and I recall watching the news and listening to these guys read from the book of Genesis on Christmas Eve, 1968, and it seemed like such a magical moment. Christmas Eve of all times. And this was a year that was fraught with assassinations, political strife. We thought the United States was going to rip apart in 1968. Somehow things tamped down after this. Maybe it was this vision of the Earth from space. Maybe it was the whole Earth. Maybe it's this vision of Earthrise. You can see how precious our blue marble looked, how pretty it was against the blackness of space and the stark gray surface of the moon. This taught us that life on Earth is very precious, something that we have to take care of. And when you looked at Earth from space, what you did not see was borders. We're all one people. We need to learn to get along. Our governments keep us from doing that. No, I do not favor a one world government to take care of that, because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. I favor limited power. But we definitely need to learn to get along with each other. We need to stop the strife that exists today, both between countries and within countries. And that was part of the magic that the year 1968 brought us as it closed. And this is Apollo 8 re-entering, coming back to Earth. Yeah, it looks like a meteorite. Yeah, that's how you go. You take off on a rocket on top of a controlled explosion, and you come back like a meteorite. Nothing trivial about going to space. And here they are on the surface of the USS Yorktown aircraft carrier on the 27th of December, 1968. That's also the 27th of December, 1968. And the reason stars like meteorites is the camera was trying to track the re-entering spacecraft. So that's the only reason they look like they're moving. And so there it is. The guys made it home. And fortunately, this time they did not need a limb because they didn't have one. But I also think it's kind of interesting that they had a crewman assigned to the limb. But then again, they had 3 seats, and one of them would have been for a limb pilot, and you might as well have the guys go through the exercises and check things out. So this was as close as they could get to the type of launch that would eventually take us to the moon. Apollo 9 was a mission that took a limb to low Earth orbit to check it out, also on a Saturn V. Apollo 10, well, John Young, as commander, flew within just a few miles of the surface of the moon. Some say technically they could have landed, but others dispute that, given some of the parameters of the mission. I'm sure it was tempting. And if you thought you might not make it home, but no, they were dutifully doing what they were supposed to do. They came back up, and on Apollo 11 mission, the lunar landing was executed 20 July 1969. And this was one step in that direction. A magical step when I was a lad of 8 years old, and a very magic moment. So I thought I'd share this with you just to illustrate that even in times of strife, there's hope. And this is a season of hope, our holiday season. Happy Yuletide, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, I celebrate it with you. I celebrate with you the hope for the future, that we can endure as a species and reach out into space once again to develop it, to live there, to expand humanity so we no longer have all of our eggs in one basket here on Earth, and that we also learn how to be better stewards of our basket here on Earth and learn how to deflect things like asteroids and comets, and maybe even future solar events that might take us out. We may learn one day how to take care of those kind of things. So that is the hope of space technology, that it will become a technology that will enable life from Earth to prosper, to thrive, and expand in a productive way that, that brings consciousness to the universe. So please do watch my channel, watch all my videos. Please subscribe, click the notification bell, check my links below. And we're going to have a lot of fun on this channel. We're going to have a lot more videos. I'm going to cover many subjects. And in time, we'll have more, better camera equipment and maybe even automation and things like that. There's other channels that really automate stuff. Well, they got money and time. I have a full-time job. I have, on top of that, a worm farm that I run. I sell and ship worms all over the United States. I have 2 YouTube channels. I have a market garden, an aquaponics greenhouse. I'm a busy puppy, so I don't have a lot of time to sit around and develop graphics and things like that. But as of now, and in the future, I hope to be able to do those kind of things. And your support this channel will help do that. Because honestly, I would like to kind of one day graduate from my day job and pursue things like this on a more full-time basis. Because this is a lot of fun, and there's a lot we can explore together. And right now, I'm working on rocket system. But I feel like if I can inform you and encourage you guys to do things, we can accomplish more together. So with all that said, all I want to say is, I'll stop this share, blow up this screen, and say thank you very much